The Wild West is alive and well on YouTube, and these full-length westerns are ready for a showdown. We've rounded up the best western flicks you can watch right now for free. Hang 'em High might not be the most famous Clint Eastwood western, but it sure packs a punch. Eastwood plays an innocent man who survives a lynching and returns as a lawman, hell-bent on bringing the vigilantes to justice. This was Eastwood's first Hollywood lead role, at 38 years old. The writers originally thought Clint Walker was going to star, not Eastwood, who they called Clint Easterwood at first. Little did they know, this would be the start of Eastwood's legendary Hollywood career. James Garner plays a man who takes the sheriff job just for the paycheck, figuring he'll bail if things get dicey. Ultimately, he sticks around and outsmarts the bad guys using nothing but his wit. Although it's not a sequel, this movie was followed by Support Your Local Gunfighter, with many of the same actors playing similar roles. This film also started Bruce Dern's typecasting as a villain, setting the stage for his infamous role in The Cowboys, where he killed John Wayne's character, cementing his reputation as the guy audiences loved to hate. This one's bittersweet for Western fans. Mackintosh and TJ was Roy Rogers' final film. Here he plays a ranch hand who takes a young drifter under his wing, helping him grow up. It's a slower-paced, more modern take on the Western genre, and Rogers' performance is understated but heartfelt. Fans loved it, and many wished he had done more adult Westerns later in his career. It's a quietly tragic, yet ultimately life-affirming story, with strong themes of family and responsibility that never feel preachy. Chino might not be on everyone's radar, but it's definitely worth watching. Charles Bronson plays a mixed-race horse breeder who strikes up an unlikely friendship with a runaway teenager. The movie is simple but heartfelt, with Bronson and Van Patten sharing believable chemistry that drives the story forward. Directed by John Sturges, this was his last Western, and although it didn't open in the US until 1975, it's a hidden gem that deserves more attention. In Lawman, Burt Lancaster plays a no-nonsense lawman who arrives in the town of Sabbath to arrest a group of rowdy cattlemen responsible for the accidental death of an old man. The film is a perfect mix of psychological drama and action, with plenty of gritty dialogue that nails the Western slang. Some scenes were shot in the same Western town used for Rio Lobo, and according to director Michael Winner, the crews from both films even had a showdown of sorts. But, you know, without the guns. This lesser-known TV movie stars Kurt Russell in a story about two brothers who round up a gang of misfits to save an old friend's ranch by driving a huge herd to market. Think Red River, but with a more ragtag crew. Released as a made-for-TV movie, The Longest Drive was later used as a two-part episode for the series The Quest. Though it's largely forgotten today, it's worth a watch if you're a fan of Kurt Russell, or if you enjoy a good Western adventure that feels like a throwback to the classics. Sergio Leone brings us another gritty Western, but this time with a twist. A Fistful of Dynamite follows a low-life bandit and an IRA explosives expert as they get caught up in the Mexican Revolution. Rod Steiger, fresh off his Oscar win for In the Heat of the Night, scored a whopping $700,000 for this film. George Lazenby, yes, James Bond, was originally cast in the lead but ultimately turned it down. Clint Eastwood was also approached but passed on the role, choosing instead to distance himself from the Italian film industry. My Name is Nobody brings a fun twist to the Western genre with Terence Hill playing a young gunman who idolizes Henry Fonda's legendary gunfighter. The two team up, but Hill insists Fonda must face off against 150 outlaws before he can retire. Although Sergio Leone didn't direct this film, his fingerprints are all over it, from the quirky score to the classic extreme close-ups. This was Fonda's last starring role in a Western, though he did later make a cameo in his son Peter Fonda's film Wanda Nevada. Tom Selleck stars as Matt Quigley, a sharpshooter hired by an Australian rancher. But when Quigley arrives down under, things aren't quite as they seem. This Western pairs Selleck with the always brilliant Alan Rickman, who took the part just for the chance to film in Australia. The film was initially meant to be Steve McQueen's next project after The Hunter, but after his death, it was shelved and went through several revivals.